Hello everyone and welcome back. It's your host Michelle, aka Chat-Mort, and thank you for returning once again to my humble little channel. This is a pretty interesting story I came across, and I'm just going to go over it briefly. Obviously it's from The Blaze. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend all of you who are leftists who despise Glenn Beck, but this story is kind of interesting. Ohio, naturally, you're welcome, rest of the country, for being the laughingstock when the Florida man is busy. Ohio high school teacher suspended over morality test with questions on incest, animal cruelty. So, immediately, you may be intrigued. A teacher was suspended for a bizarre morality test she gave to students in her English language arts class at a Hilliard, Ohio high school. The online quiz asked students for their opinions on an array of topics, including incest and animal cruelty. Were they graded? The test was reportedly graded and gave students scores for their moral foundation and political leanings. Sarah Gillum, it's always a Gillum, isn't it? 35, a teacher at Hilliard Bradley High School, was placed on paid administration pending the outcome of an internal investigation, according to, I don't know why this is the hyperlinked part, but that's okay, the Columbus Dispatch. Last night we were made aware of a classroom activity that should never have taken place, the school district said in a statement. We absolutely share the outrage of our parents and community. Some examples of the questions include: using both a condom and a pill, a brother and a sister decide they want to sleep with each other, just once, to see what it would be like. That's what anime's for. We don't actually do that in real life, kids. Sarah's dog has 4 puppies. She can only find a home for 2 of them, so she kills the other 2 with a stone to the head. A man kills a baby rabbit with a knife on a live TV show. That's just sick. Sick. Parent Chris Chaffin said after reading a scenario about a man who ordered a custom-built sex doll designed to look just like his niece. WTTE-TV reported. Other questions were less controversial. One example is a boy slamming a door in his father's face because he wouldn't let him attend a late-night party. Boy's a little bitch, beat him, move on. The test came from IDRlabs.com. Through the 36-question test, students were asked to make moral judgments by giving one of 7 choices. A series of red thumbs up indicated a range of not okay options, while a green thumbs up indicated levels of approval that were okay. What does the teacher need to know this information for? Todd Sandberg. Where did he go? I need a new mouse. What does the teacher need to know that information for? Todd Sandberg, father of a 10th grader, told the Columbus Dispatch. The questions are so out of line for high school language arts. The district indicated it never approved the test, apologized to parents and students, and ordered the Gillum, to stay off campus until further notice, according to the newspaper. You are directed to remain off school grounds unless you have permission from me, Superintendent John Marshausen, oh that's not bad, Marshausen wrote in a letter to Gillum, not the Gillum, just Gillum this time, obtained by the Columbus Dispatch. You are directed not to have any contact with any students and or any Hilliard City School staff, and you most certainly may not beat their heads in with a stone if you cannot find a home for them. Sorry. The Blaze, having absolutely nothing to do with my mischief, has gotten rid of their comment section. I refuse to believe I was responsible in any way, shape, or form for that, so we're moving right along. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty, over the top, I would say. I think in some schools they have like special classes where you can get some sort of college credit, or classes for just advanced students who may already have all their credits out of the way for that semester or that year. I think in instances like that, I could see it being permissible to hold this class if parents went through a pretty thorough form that details what's going on in the class. If it were a class about morality and philosophy, perhaps, maybe I can see that being acceptable then if the parents are made aware very, very extensively of what kind of stuff is going to be covered. Otherwise, I think this is something that would be far more suited to a college class. And it would be very interesting for college students. You go from learning about demand curves to incest, you know. It's a little bit of levity, or at least something interesting in your very dull college day. So, my first thought upon reading this after whoa was I should take this test. It doesn't link to this test from any of the news stories I saw, but obviously it's from IDRlabs.com. And the only one I can find that this may be is this morality test. And I assume that the X6 means this is a 6th iteration of it. So, it looks like there are some really interesting tests on here, and I'd like to actually take all of them at some point. And I'm going to link this test as well, so I encourage you guys to take it if it looks interesting. Now, I'm not sure, there are two morality tests on here. One that's the morality X6, I guess, and the morality X3, so I don't know if these are the third and sixth iterations of these tests that are the ones that were the most successful and that they kept on the site, or what the numbering system is for. But let's take this one and see. Clearly it's the right website because the way that they are allowing you to choose the level of morality or immorality of the questions is the same. Whoever these people are, argue that there are substantial variations in human morality and that these differences influence not just a person's decision-making and reasoning processes, but also their political outlook. I would agree with that entirely. That seems to make perfect sense. In recent years, researchers and scholars from all over the world have converged on the framework on moral foundations theory in an attempt to explain these individual differences, as well as to make sense of the many instances of moral outrage and offense that are increasingly seen in public debate. By drawing on findings from their research, this test aims to give you your scores according to the moral foundations framework. For each of the following items, indicate whether you think it's morally okay or not. So it looks like this is just one of those things where it's going to stick me on this page and only change basically this much of the page from question to question. Question 1 of 36. Tom and Linda have been dating for almost a year. Since they've never agreed to be exclusive, Tom sleeps with other women without telling Linda. Oh boy. Well, no. That's wrong. You need to be extremely explicit. Can we go that far? I'll go this far, because it's not murdering someone, but it's pretty cruddy. Yeah, no. It's wrong not to disclose this kind of thing to somebody, because Linda is going to get all kinds of cooties and have no idea that this is transpiring. Just because something is not explicitly stated doesn't mean that it should not be brought up with somebody, particularly when they put you in a high position of power in their life, in which they're entrusting you a lot with their health and safety. Yep, this is the one. This is the test. We did it, folks. Here we are. Using both a condom and the pill, a brother and a sister decide that they want to sleep with each other just once to see what it would be like. That's really freaking not okay. The whole point of family, at least in my mind, is that these are the people who love you, accept you, protect you, and will cherish and support you unconditionally. They're the few people in the world that do not expect sex from you, and who you don't have to always factor that in when you're interacting with them, and you don't have to worry that that's some component that they want out of you. That's one of the reasons why family is so sacred and so important in everybody's lives. You don't frick your family. A man orders a custom-built sex doll designed to look just like his niece. Well, yeah, no, that's pretty not okay. Let's put it there. Julie asks her friends not to fraternize with her ex-boyfriend Jake since he cheated on her with other women. 3 weeks later, Julie's friend Melissa is dating him. Melissa's a skank and is probably one of the women who caused the breakup in the first place. Not okay. John's soccer coach decides that everyone on the team must wear black soccer shoes, but on the day of the match, John turns up in white soccer shoes instead. Obviously that's not okay. I wish there were more, I guess I wish there were more intervals in here, because I don't like putting that this close to the Melissa skank person, obviously, and the sex doll niece. But clearly that's not okay. I wouldn't say it's neutral either, just because you are choosing to disobey instructions that were given to you by a person of authority who has also served to enrich your life and teach you discipline and help you. So no, that's not okay. Why would you do that? An army lieutenant neglects to file a report on a civilian killing done by his troops because he knows it was an accident. That's no, that's not okay. Nope. Brian does not cooperate with law enforcement. Whenever he is pulled over, he refuses to answer questions and starts bickering with the officer about his rights. It's not as heinous as murder or rape, perhaps, but Brian is a dickhole, and he needs to get his life together and stop disrespecting the people who risk everything they have day in and day out to take care of us, to protect us. Tim asks his father for permission to stay out late because his classmates are throwing a party. When his father refuses, Tim slams the door in his face. Not okay. Tim is being a child. Tim is being a moron, an ungrateful, nasty child. But there are far, far worse things he could do, particularly if he's not going out of his way to disobey his dad. This kind of reaction is not acceptable necessarily, but on the scale of right to wrong, I'm just going to put it there. Question 9. Adam and Beth have been dating for 3 years. Adam is reluctant to have children, so Beth tells him that she's on the pill when she isn't. This is the epitome of not okay. Listen, feminists. This is the epitome of not okay. This is heinous. You don't do this to someone. You don't trick them into making a freaking human being, okay? That's wrong. A pair of parents read about the exotic delicacies of Africa and the Far East. In the coming week, they serve dog meat to their children. That's pretty not okay. I recognize that cultural relativity is something that is very widely accepted sociologically, and I understand that there are going to be some discrepancies, and it is fairly subjective which animals are sacred or are considered to be companion animals. I don't know which society is right, if any of them can, objectively be identified as the correct one as far as that goes. But you don't do that to your children when they have already been not assimilated so much, but when they have been raised in this specific culture where this is horrifically wrong. You don't do this to your children. Don't do that, man. Don't. Question 11. Hannah inherited an old flag of her country from her father, but has never used it. One day when Hannah is cleaning the house, she discovers she's out of rags, so she uses the flag as a rag to clean the house. Hannah is a dumb, self-centered little moron, and God, I hope she never gets her hands on an antique, or anything like that. The fact that somebody would have so little respect for something that was clearly cherished by their family, the fact that you would use something you inherited to scrub surfaces to get the dirt off of them is, I want to punch Hannah in the face. So, no, not okay. That's not okay. That's my opinion on that one. While on a live on-air TV show, a man kills a baby rabbit with a knife. Not okay. But I hope he gets away with it so I can kill him with a knife as soon as he is alone, after he gets off set. Amy and Mia are co-workers. One day, Amy offers Mia to take one of her shifts, no strings attached. Sometime later, Amy could really use someone to fill in for her, but Mia doesn't feel compelled because Amy's original offer had no strings attached. That's not right, because you should be kind to other people. You should make investments in other people, emotionally and as far as your relationships. You should want to repay that favor for someone. No strings attached should have no bearing on that whatsoever. You should want to help them out. However, if you tell somebody no strings attached and they take that as literally as possible and do everything within their power to not return the favor ever, that's not a heinous thing, so I'm gonna put it there. A man sets up an unlicensed medical practice but makes all of his customers sign a contract acknowledging that he is not a licensed physician. See, this is very interesting. This kind of goes back to the whole Jilly Juice thing, and my fiance and I have been sort of debating about this. Because he thinks that she should in no way, shape, or form be legally responsible when she has disclaimers on her site and all her resources saying that she's not a medical professional. However, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for that when you're preying on people who are extremely psychologically unwell due to their desperation to get better because they're dying and they're terrified of the fact that they're dying. But anyway, that's what this reminds me of. I almost want to say that that's not very bad, because if people make such an atrociously bad decision, they, I feel, to some extent, have opened themselves up to the consequences. So as long as I'm doing my best, if you guys have seen me take any tests like this before, to just take everything at its word. If you've taken any of the tests on isidewith.org, I believe it is, you'll see that many of these questions can, I guess, cause you anguish for hours. You can spend hours trying to analyze them and figure out all of the potential implications. So if you want to accomplish anything else in your day And if you want to get any kind of accurate, conclusive answer, you have to do everything within your power to just take these at their word, and not read into them anymore. So that's why I'm doing this, as briefly as I am. When a homeless man asks Matt for spare change, Matt keeps on walking and says, "Don't talk to me, loser." Well, Matt's kind of a dick, so that's where I'm putting that one. In biology class, a human hand preserved in a jar is passed around among the students. That's really freaking cool, my dude. Yeah, that might freak some of the students out, but I don't see anything immoral about that. Insensitive, perhaps. Immoral, I don't think so. Jane's boss calls all of his... Oh, his. The boss is the his. I'm smart. Jane's boss calls all of his employees by their first names, okay. Just regrouping. Just gonna regroup. I can do this. Jane's boss calls all of his employees by their first names, but does not allow any of them to call him by his first name. When Jane insists that it must be a two-way street, he fires her. I think that's overkill on his part, but I don't see that to be right or wrong. If you refuse to respect authority, and if you defy those, what I would certainly perceive to be harmless ways in which authority is reinforced, if he fires her for that, I think that may be overkill, but I don't think it's immoral necessarily. In sex education class, the students are asked to inflate a condom with their mouth. That wigs me out. I don't know, I think that to an extent violates the kid's right to not have anything to do with any sort of birth control until they're old enough to decide to. For those of you who get upset by hearing this, that's your problem. Not all children are completely out of control, humping everything they see. A lot of children choose not to have sex until they're older and can make more informed decisions about it. So I think that this would kind of be a violation of a lot of kids' decisions to not have anything to do with birth control or anything relating to sex until they're older. I don't at all think this. See, I don't know. I want to put it here or here, but I'm not sure. I guess I'm going to say not okay just because you don't have to inflate condoms with your mouth to enact effective birth control. This seems like a very strange, sort of demeaning violation of somebody's rights. So I'm going to say that's pretty not okay, actually. Jack and Will are classmates. Will's father is a lawyer. When he picks up Will from school, he refuses to say hi to Jack's father because he is only a janitor. I hope he dies. No, that's not fair. That's atrociously nasty. So we're putting that there. People who think they're better than other people are literally the least better kind of people. Scott is hosting a dinner party. For dessert, he serves chocolate cake shaped to look like dog poop. That's gross and dumb and crass, and the kind of reason why I don't watch like Jim Carrey movies and the like, because I'm not some slobbering single-digit IQ moron. However, my obscenely judgmental, vindictive nastiness aside, that's not immoral in any way. It's just something I personally find distasteful, and I can determine that much myself. Dan turns up the TV just as his father is talking about his military service. Well, he deserves to be kicked in the nuts, and that's my input on that one. A new action figure becomes all the rage among the boys in Timmy's class. When Timmy's parents get to the store, they buy all of the action figures for Timmy, leaving none for the other children. Good for them, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know. That's not wrong. Timmy's parents are ballers. Good for them. The head of a public department says that none of her employees are allowed to smoke at all, not even in their free time. I think that if you are a public employee, it's the same thing as if you choose to be a representative of a school or some brand or something like that. You are held to a higher standard, particularly when you are a representative of an agent of the government. I honestly think that's kind of fair. I think that's okay. Bob and Pam are siblings. Bob is given $10 by their father and is told to distribute it between them as he likes. Bob gives $1 to Pam and pockets the 9 himself. I don't know. I feel like if his dad tells him to distribute it how he wants, that's okay. There's nothing immoral about that. His dad didn't tell him to do it evenly, and then he defied his dad. That's not what happened here. A Christian bakery refuses to custom decorate a cake with chocolate letters that would carry a pro-gay message. Yeah, that's absolutely okay. It might be distasteful. It might be unkind, perhaps, but I think that's okay, honestly. Obviously, if something doesn't fit with your beliefs and you are a private business, you guys know my opinion on this, obviously. The principal of a school says that none of her students are allowed to draw Muhammad on the school premises or to bring Muhammad cartoons to school. I don't know. I don't think that this is right or wrong, and I'm struggling. I'm trying to take this at face value. I think freedom of speech obviously is of the utmost importance, but also school environments are something that is a very sensitive and carefully controlled area, or environment, to be a little bit redundant there. I think if that's one of the rules, you know, if you think that's wrong, you can obviously bring it up with the school board perhaps, or start a petition, you as the student or a parent or a student organization. But you ultimately have to obey whoever's in charge. You have to obey the authority. And if the principal makes a rule, until you can get it changed, you either need to obey it and respect the rules or go to another school. So honestly, I think that's pretty okay. Emma and Cindy are summer interns at Chris's office. Emma does slightly better than Cindy. At the end of the summer, there's only one job opening, but Chris gives it to Cindy because he finds her more attractive. See, I'm torn between saying that that is not okay and that it's none of my business. I mean, I feel like meritocracy is obviously the most just and morally righteous system, so it should be given to the girl who did better. See, the problem is I don't know. I need to know more context to say that this is neutral. I think Chris can do whatever he wants if he's in charge of the business, and if he makes crappy business decisions, and if it gets out that he's lecherous or overlooks poor performance because he wants pretty girls around, I think that, you know, obviously the public should be the ones to make a decision on whether they want to support that kind of a business or not. But I don't know. I want to put it here. I don't want to put it here. I want to put it in the middle. We'll just do that, I guess. In sex education class, again, the students are taught that since the sexes are equal, the girls should sleep with as many guys as they want without fear of being considered sluts. Oh dear, no. We should start calling guys sluts who are sluts. You earn respect based on self-respect. You teach people how to treat you. If you don't respect yourself and value your mental and physical health enough to be selective about the people that you make yourself that vulnerable to, people are going to respond to that. I think this is idiotic. This is the way many third-wave feminists are, which is why they're seen as so crass and repulsive. You shouldn't want to be allowed to stoop to someone else's much lower standards. You should expect them to be held to the same standards as you. If you're to a point where you say, well, they did it, so I should be able to do it too, you're losing. You're choosing to be just as bad as what you're rebelling against. So I'm going to say that's not okay at all. This is horrifying. It's immoral to tell people that they're not going to deal with any social stigma or consequences when they make decisions that are detrimental to their health. So no, it's not okay, especially not in a class where you are sort of expecting to get reasonably objective and informative and empowering information. When Carl's soccer team is squaring off against the team of another nation, he sings along to the other team's national anthem instead of his. Carl is a little douchebag and clearly has no respect for the nation that has brought him up. Hush phone. See, I'm torn on this. I think it's incredibly childish and disrespectful. I don't know that it's exceedingly harmful to anyone, other than that it shows that Carl has an IQ of probably 60 or less. I'm gonna go with that, I think. When Kelly asks Steven out on a date, he sneers and says, like I'm gonna date a woman who looks like my overweight bulldog. Well, One, at least we know Stephen isn't banging his bulldog and isn't going to arise in any of these other questions. But no, that's really shitty. Sorry, Stephen, that's not okay. A group of parents concerned about their children's risk of obesity demand that the local store stop selling XL-sized candy bars and soft drinks. No, that's not okay. You don't get to punish the rest of the community for your inability to parent. You need to go to hell and let me have my delicious soft drinks in peace, thank you. Sarah's dog has 4 puppies. She can only find a home for 2 of them, so she kills the other 2 with a stone to the head. And then that night when Sarah is alone in her house, I kill her with the stone to the head, and the puppies are still not avenged, but I feel better. Sarah gets drunk in a bar and makes out with 2 strangers at once. No, that's gross. That's where I'm putting that one. Some men have a private all-male club and feminists take them to court demanding they open it up to women. Grow up, you dumb skanks. That's my assessment. Tina promises her dying mother that she'll visit her grave once a month. After the mother has passed away, Tina finds it hard to squeeze in the time and her visits drop to about once a year. Tina's gross. When Lily tells her classmate Sue that it's her dream to be prom queen, Sue laughs out loud and says, "You're too ugly for that." Well, that's atrocious. I mean, it's not heinous, it's not super not okay, but it's pretty awful and impolite and just not very nice. Let's see. Alright, your moral foundations are, here's me. Left is blue, conservative is red, of course, libertarian is yellow. So, I score higher on care than most of these people. I score higher than conservatives and libertarians on average, but lower than liberals on fairness. I score much higher on loyalty than anybody but conservatives, which is very interesting. Again, I'm very close to conservatives on authority, where leftists and libertarians are lower. I'm much closer, but even higher and more harsh when it comes to purity than conservatives, where leftists and libertarians are about the same. And I score fairly low with leftists, below conservatives, and far below libertarians on liberty. That's very interesting. For care, I got an 81 out of 100. Fairness 67, purity 78, loyalty 64, authority 67, and liberty 61. Wow, that's very interesting. So, my strongest moral foundation is care, and the morality that's closest to mine is conservative. So, I'm not going to read all of these to you guys just because it's extremely long-winded. But they do go into detail, obviously, about the moral foundations that you are scored on, and the explanations of the political groups that you are weighed against. So I'm going to read over these myself, and I'm also going to link this quiz for you guys. Obviously, I'm not a teacher, so you can't suspend me and put me on leave, and I can't force you to take this, but I think it's pretty interesting, and I would like to see your guys' results as well, even if you just copy and paste basically this little window here to let me know. So I'm probably going to share this on Twitter and maybe Facebook. Facebook is kind of dodgy since I actually know people from there, you know? That's pretty cool, actually. I may take some of these other tests in the future. Again, this is IDRlabs.com. Don't force your underage students to take these, or you might get in some hot water. But that's, yeah, that concludes this video, I guess. So let me know what you guys got as well as your responses, or if you think there are any other more accurate or more interesting sort of like morality tests I could be taking. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. I love you dearly, and I will see you again very soon. Bye! A teacher was suspended for a bizarre morality test she gave to students in her English language arts class at a Hilliard, Ohio. Off. Some men have Jesus Christ, help, save me, baby Jesus, and all the other people up in the sky.